perfectly with the dodge.
What a beautiful charge dash from Meldon to save him.
That faster? Is that faster?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, this time.
Meldon gets it.
Oh, this is what a save!
Oh, big flat.
Oh my god!
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ori and the Blind Forest tournament. We're about to kick off a block of 7 matches for you guys for the second to last day of group stages. And this match here is Fluffy versus Meldon from Misty Woods. I'm Rory Rye and I'm joined by Rufus on commentary. How's it going, Rufus?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I think exciting. We've got 7 matches here in a row that we're about to go through. And like you said, we're starting off with Meldon versus Fluffy. Maybe would you like to tell us a little bit about the players?
Yeah, so Meldon's been around for a while, but this tournament actually, he normally runs on KBM, but because of an injured finger, has been learning the game on controller. So I know he said before the race that he was feeling like sort of better, but wasn't sure. So we'll see what he ends up going for. He said that the way he's feeling is going to affect his choice of route and strats and input method.
Yeah, so I think that'll be really interesting to see. Like you said, he's usually a KBM player, and I think it's really hard when you're so used to one input method to also have to switch to the other, but I think it's awesome that he's willing to go out there and do that. So exciting to see a lot from him. And then Fluffy, on the other hand, as you can see here, he's got a 33.53, which he got earlier, well, I guess last at this point. And so he's hoping to put up a good time as well, and we'll see what he can do. He does hybrid, so he does controller and KBM. So we'll see some controller play out of both players, and then maybe even some KBM out of both players. But for sure, it's going to be something exciting.
It certainly is, and a little bit of routing differences. It looks like based on the tricks that the players said that they'd be going for based on the survey. So we'll see how that sort of changes up, because it has been quite a while since everyone filled this out, and people get more comfortable with certain things, or decide they want to go for strats or not go for strats. So we'll really have to see how the routing shakes up in the late game.
Yeah, for sure. Though I guess the one consistency we see there is they're both planning on skip clean water. But talking with Meldon a little bit before the race, we'll have to wait to see on that, because he said depending on how he's feeling with being able to do KBM, he might actually go just the normal Ginzo escape route. So if there's any Ginzo escape fans out there, we might have a chance to see that.
Yep, and we will not really know what he goes for until he decides to either teleport to Grotto or not teleport to Grotto. So we'll be keeping an eye on that about at the 15 to 16 minute mark, probably.
Yep, so for sure that's something to keep your eyes on.
Looks like we're about to get underway here in just a few seconds.
Yep, both runners are getting ready.
We're gonna have that amazing bird transition over to the racer's screen. I love that transition. It's so good. And
honestly, a lot of the effects and a lot of things that the tournament organizers have put into place for this have been really awesome. So huge shout outs to them.
Absolutely, and we are underway, or at least Fluffy is.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there over there.
Looks like maybe a little bit of a sync issue. But they're
either way, both runners are starting to go get underway, and Fluffy taking a quick dip in the water there, but other than that, just kind of making his way normally as you would to get signed.
It's always interesting when you take that little bit of a dip in the water. It just sort of it messes with you a little bit, because a lot of times, like I know when I do this section, I have like this sort of exact consistent movement that I try to always do here. And if that doesn't happen, it's just like, wait, what? Now everything's different.
Right. Yeah, I think that can take place kind of anywhere in the run. If like you're really used to your movement, and then there's a slight change or a slight mess up, it kind of throws you off and makes you nervous that the things aren't going to be quite the same. But
Alright, it looks like we've got our runners synced up here, so they're both coming to pick up Sign. Nothing too crazy. Just a little bit of extra damage for Fluffy on the way down, but Sign, of course, will give a full health refill, so it doesn't actually matter.
yep, no problem there with that. And then they'll be moving on to take out these Frankies. I think Meldon said he was doing KBM during this part, so, or maybe Control, I'm not sure actually.
I can't really tell. It looked like he paced his shots for a little bit, and then it looked like a little bit of scroll wheeling, so I don't really know. Possibly a combination of the two. It's so hard to tell. It's so hard to tell when you don't know for sure what input method someone's using. It's very possibly just like took one of his hands off the controller to use scroll wheel.
Yep, and now we finally we've got the sync here between the players, so pretty accurate. They're both going on here to do this ghost store. I don't think either of them took damage coming up out of there, so they'll both be down to 1 HP to be able to trigger the death after putting in the keystones and trigger the ghost store.
Yep, and it looked like Fluffy got a health drop on that bramble wall, so a little bit of a pickup animation there. So we'll see how much health he is actually at for this ghost store here, possibly at 2. And there is the 2 HP ghost store. If Meldon is actually down to 1, as we intend to be, he's not. He's going to be at 2. So no time change there, just a little bit of a slower but safer ghost store.
Yep, and then both going up here, grabbing this health cell, making their way down to get wall jump. Looks like a little bit of scary movement there, but the Frankie fortunately did not, on Meldon's screen, come over and stomp on him. So
yeah, I know if your movement is a little bit off grabbing that health cell, that Frankie can sometimes troll you and just sort of smack into you as you're trying to drop through the platform, but makes it pass just fine. Fluffy
no real problem.
Fluffy with a slight lead after that hiccup with Frankie and the health cell that Meldon had. So that's not really going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things, though.
Yep, either way, both are on a good pace here to get to wall jump.
This is actually quite a solid wall jump time from Fluffy.
And it looked
here.
like Meldon opting to level up on the way down. I think, I don't know if, I didn't actually see, but I think Fluffy's going to get it on the way up.
Mm-hmm. So that's just a little bit of a difference in the experience count for entering Blackroot, because this next level up that we take is, of course, the Frankie Walk level up. So they're going to be trying to route their XP within, I believe, 19 of level up. And so this extra, like, 9 to 12 experience that you pick up from leveling up on the way back up, as Fluffy's doing right now, can sort of make a difference in your XP routing and how many slimes you can kill in Blackroot.
Yeah, and it's mostly just a preference thing, kind of how you mentioned. It's no huge disadvantage or advantage for either of our runners. And we've got, looks like Fluffy forgot to take out a Bramble, but no problem, just take it out on the way out and into Blackroot. They're both making their way up.
Right, and Meldon got a little bit of an extra hit on that bramble wall because Ori vaulted over the ledge. So that's an extra 2 damage that he took, and he's going to drop a safety save. He knows that. He doesn't want to accidentally take a second hit here.
Yeah, I think that's a great decision from him, knowing that he's got the energy, he can take a safety save without setting him back too much there, and just kind of, because that, I think one of the most painful deaths is on your way here to this teleporter. I'm having to go all the way back to wall jump and then worry about getting the energy again and everything. So he even stops to pick up a health there, and on the other side we have Fluffy starting a save anywhere.
And that health pickup actually just saved his life, because he then promptly took a hit from the slime. But yeah, I think it's really a good point that you bring up about placing that sort of safety save halfway through wall jump to Blackroot, because no one does it, but we don't use that energy for anything.
Right, I think it's one of those things where if you die this early on, in most situations, if it's like a PB attempt or something, it's so early on you'll just, oh well, no problem, I'll just do a reset and kind of start over. But in a race setting, I think it's kind of shows the kind of player that Meldon is to be able to make that decision making, even when he's under pressure, and be like, you know what, like, I took an extra hit than I want to, and like this is a tournament, so I can't do a reset if I want, so just opts to take this save and opt for a little bit of a safer strategy there.
Right, and it also just shows awareness that, hey, this energy isn't actually getting used for anything. So it's not slower, it's totally free. So Fluffy heading into these pillars here, we'll see if he manages to make it through a bit of a hit, but that hit is actually, and he actually does get bonked off the platforms, but he had a safety save placed right before this pillar section again. So he's able to just sort of reset and try again with not too much of an issue.
Yeah, once again, one of those safety saves that really doesn't cost you anything. And I believe he even used it to manipulate the cycle up here so he'd get the faster cycle. And again, going over to Meldon's screen, another death there. So they've both taken a quick death, but both of them made safety saves close enough to not really lose much time.
Yep, and so interestingly, Fluffy actually did not make the cycle at all. He was like a couple seconds too late. So rather than just sort of sit there and wait for 6 more seconds or so on the cycle to come back around, he took that opportunity to place a safety save and break an energy crystal.
Yeah, which is once again kind of great decision making, knowing when to do that and when not to. So small little type saves here and there when you're not able to make that first cycle.
Right, just sort of recognizing there's 6 seconds here where I can't do anything, so we might as well just play it safe.
Still pretty close by both runners, both on the correct experience routing, and then they're kind of going up here to do the switch, and they'll go into the light cutscene.
Right, and we'll see whether or not either of them goes for the silly new cutscene stack. I honestly wouldn't expect it. I think it's a little bit too risky for a race personally. I would expect to see just the standard darkness cutscene skip.
Yeah, I would expect the same, but never know. Maybe they'll surprise with some exciting.
I don't know. I think, like, while it does save time to do the cutscene stack, it's only a few seconds, and there is also that risk of, hey, you fall down into the bottom of Blackroot and get an autosave because you missed a dash glide.
Yeah, exactly. There's definitely an extra risk from it there. Both of them set back a little bit because of the death, but they're both hit and dashed at around 8 minutes, maybe a little before for Fluffy, and they're on the way to Frankie Walk.
And we'll have to see how this Frankie Walk goes for both of them, because this could be an opportunity for a lead change if anything goes wrong, or if something goes wrong for Meldon, it's an opportunity for Fluffy to sort of extend that gap.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be something to keep your eyes on. They're both at 4 health, so they should be fine, and they're both experiences fine, but yeah, it is kind of one of those tricks where you never know. It's easy to make a small mistake or get caught up with the Frankie. Right,
and it's like, I honestly don't feel like the walk itself is the hard part. I feel like the Death Gauntlet is where it gets spooky. So Fluffy coming up on that now, he's just going to kill his Frankie and level up. Everything looks good. No safety energy drop, only a 10% chance though, so we don't expect to see that, but we like it.
That's one of those little surprises that just always makes you feel a lot more comfortable, especially in a race setting, to get that extra energy. Is good luck, for sure.
Almost getting crushed there. He barely manages to dash out in time though.
And he's good. He's made it past energy and put down his safety save, so he's made it past the Death Gauntlet, and I guess now we turn over to Meldon for his turn through the Death Gauntlet.
That's right, and we also do want to see whether or not Fluffy goes for this early cycle here. Looks like he is going to go for it, but he doesn't quite get the jump in time.
Yeah, it was really close, but not quite.
So no time save, necessarily. We'll have to keep an eye on whether or not Meldon gets it coming up in a few seconds here, because if he does, that's an opportunity to pick up another 8 seconds.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if Meldon was able to get it, so we'll see him. But in the meantime, on the left here, he's setting up another ghost door while he heads on his way down to double jump. And then turning your attention over to Meldon, as he goes for his fast cycle.
Not quite, just a little bit of a vault over that ledge. You want to land on top of the ledge itself, but with that vault, there's no way that you can make the dash in. Right,
so no time save there, but on the other side, Fluffy actually did take a death on his way down to double jump, so he had to go back to the ghost door, and he lost a little bit of time there, so maybe a little bit of time that Meldon was able to catch up.
Meldon scared me for a little bit with that keystone. He didn't manage to get it before the Crusher moved too low for the spikes to show up, so he had to wait and pick it up as the Crusher was coming up and covering the keystone again, but he managed to get it just fine.
Yep, so as he goes and gets his double jump. Fluffy's on the way, actually taking a hit there, not one that you want to take, but as it is kind of, when you do go for 4 health at the beginning, you do have a little bit of buffer room there, so probably not too big of a deal, but still kind of scary to be down some health here.
Right, and it does sort of get made up for because of regroup, so a couple saves and he'll be at full health just fine.
Yeah, which is actually part of this routing here, is you have to put in a couple saves because you want to do the rekindle or to skip the cutscene as you're seeing here to stop the rock from spawning. So it is kind of nice to have that. Even if you take a damage, you can easily get it back.
So Meldon's making his attempt at grotto skip now. We'll see if this is an opportunity for him to pick up a couple seconds here. But looks like a little bit of hiccups with it.
Yeah, having a hard time getting that initial jump, but as soon as he got it, yeah, he was able to do the grotto. Yeah, his early grottos, or sorry, his grotto skip, and then Fluffy getting water vein and heading up towards the Ginso tree.
That's right. So this Inter-Ginso segment from sort of water vein to Ginso, I feel like is really, really hard to get optimal movement on. So we'll have to see a little bit of sort of less clean movement here and there. There could be some time changes, but I don't expect too much.
Yeah, no, I think is really one of those splits that doesn't seem like there's too much going on, so it shouldn't be too hard, but like there's a lot that goes into optimizing this. But I remember at one point kind of comparing some of my splits with some of the top runners and realizing that this was one of the splits where I was losing more time than other splits to some of those top runners. So it is kind of a hard one to optimize, but both of them are making pretty good work of it without too much problem.
Yeah, and Fluffy taking that extra ability cell signal that he will be doing the Terror Break route, which of course we did know going into this, but it's always nice to sort of confirm that our runners aren't doing something totally crazy that they haven't told us about.
Right, I believe they're both going for Terror Break. We might see something out of Meldon a little different. I'm not sure yet, as he is kind of experimenting as the run goes to see when he'll be feeling, or if he's feeling better in order to be able to use KBM.
I would still expect him to do Terror Break, honestly. It's just so much more consistent. So Fluffy has poked his head inside the Ginso tree here. About to use that new double jump skill. We'll see how all of this platforming goes. Hopefully no major issues.
And actually, it's really clean on his side so far. So great movements, dashing in and out, doing the. You can see kind of ninja jumps as he's climbing up the top of the. Oh, and actually a fall there, so he falls back down. And in the meantime, Meldon on the other side, heading up towards the Ginso tree.
Fluffy's taken now 2 hits on these Emers here. That's a little bit scary. Couple falls, but he didn't die, and that's what's really the important thing.
Yeah, you do want to be careful here, though. You are able to get a couple health drops on your way towards the mini boss, but these spikes do 2 damage, so it can be scary if you take 1 too many hits.
Yep. So Meldon, a little bit of time lost right at the end, as he actually missed the rekindle on the cutscene, where Gumo steals the water vein. So we did in fact have to wait for Gumo to take the water vein before we could go put it back in the door.
Yeah, and actually good decision making there as well to just accept that you missed it and kind of for the cutscene to play out rather than try to quit, open up, and redo the cutscene skip.
Yep, and also a good adaptation on that platform after missing that jump.
Yeah, knowing to wait to go to the other side and jump. We've got Fluffy doing the mini boss here. Kind of just, you can see where he's going to spawn based on, there's like a 1-frame tell, and he's just whacking away at him there.
So far, nothing too fancy. Obviously, Fluffy being on controller doesn't have the option of the crazy scroll wheel shooting that we see from some of the keyboard and mouse runners. So he just has to sit there and pace his shots out. But it looks good. Does not opt to take the optional damage boost on the spikes to set up for the ghost door in the next room, presumably because he took extra damage on the way to the mini-boss, and so doesn't need to.
Right, it actually looks like he might take a damage right there towards the end on those set of spikes. So now he's good for that ghost door, and Meldon making his way into the mini-boss as well.
So it looks like I see Meldon's mouse, so he may be using Scroll Wheel for this.
Yeah, and he said kind of he was thinking of maybe switching over to KBM at the Bash tree. So maybe this is kind of his way of filling it out, see if he wants to do it for the rest of the run during this mini boss fight.
Right, but of course it is dependent on whether or not he feels comfortable with his finger on that movement key.
Yep, and we got Fluffy over here opting to just shoot the shot to the left. Not really too much of a time change there, and he's on his way up towards Kidu. And Meldon finished his boss without any problems.
Fluffy got bonked down a little bit lower than I think he wanted by those spikes. Trying to set up at 3 HP instead of 4 before he placed that save.
Yep, and we have Meldon going in. Looks like he's back to controller now that he's done with that mini boss. So be interesting to see if he makes a full switch here at Bash or not. And then from Fluffy looks like a successful do.
And I think whether or not Meldon decides to switch to full keyboard after Bash will be a pretty good indicator of whether or not he's going to be doing the Enso escape.
Yeah, so that'll be something definitely to look out for him. Fluffy setting up the hyperspeed, that looked good. So he was able to zoom into the boss room and get onto the ledge first try. So but taking a hit there and a little death because of the game autosaves when you enter the boss fight. It's not a huge time loss, but still can kind of be a frustrating hit there.
Yeah, it looked like his bash didn't quite go off in time, but he's okay. He manages to get it, even with the little slip up falling down to the middle.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things, because you set up for a ghost door, you purposely go down to 1 or 2 health, which means that during that boss fight, any mistake, any hit by the spikes and hit by the boss will, in fact, kill you. So
that's right, and that's actually why we have a level up right here at the start of the swamp entry trick. So Meldon, just on the right side of the screen, you see his mouse there. That means that he is on keyboard and mouse here. So I would fully expect him to go for swamp entry.
Yep, the same as we see Fluffy doing his swamp entry now, just letting the cutscene play out instead of doing the invisible movement here.
Yeah, there are downsides to both of these. If you let the cutscene play out, of course, there are lasers there that will instant kill you. But if you do the blind movement, you might take damage, and for a controller player like Fluffy, you usually will have to take damage in this trick itself, which makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and so right now, looks like he might be setting up for a double bash method, and he gets that, so that's awesome. I think that was on controller, so that
looked like
props there.
I think I saw a mouse there.
Did you? Okay, I was gonna say, wow, like
yeah. So it looked like.
Oh no!
He takes a dip in that poison water, gets sent all the way back before the trick. Whew. Yeah,
luckily he did make a safety save here in the middle, but even though that water is blue, it is in fact poisonous, so I guess that is going to set him back here a little bit.
Yeah, there's no alternate graphic for the Thornfelt Swamp Poison Water because you're not supposed to get there while it's poisoned.
Exactly. And we see like here, this is giving Meldon a great time to catch up. He's about to start his swamp entry just as Fluffy's finishing his. So bit of some time save there from Meldon, and Fluffy this time decides to jump over the water as intended. And looks like Meldon opting to take a different experience than what you normally see, going to the left there. And he's still going to grab this 100. So
yeah, he's going for the early charge dash route, it looks like. So he'll be wanting to take a full additional level up before Valley of the Wind.
And that allowed him to do charge jumps a little earlier than you normally do. And especially in the area going up to fast stompless, you can do a few charge jumps in there. So, or charge dashes, sorry.
Yep, and the extra charge dashes just sort of give you a different take on the movement. So be on the lookout for that when we get there.
Exactly. Meldon putting on a save as well, so he wants to take this swamp entry safe, and then as he's going in, we kind of have Fluffy going out, so a little bit of a high five from our players.
Oh no!
Oh, but a death on Meldon.
That's another vault over that ledge.
Yeah, that can be something really tricky.
Fluffy, nice frog manipulation to get to this ability cell. I like the extra bash up to get more height, so that you can get a more horizontal bash glide. I know, like, sometimes I see people just bash off of the frog while it's on the ground, and then you barely make it over to the cell. So
Right, and you don't have as much speed as when you do that horizontally as he did.
Meanwhile, Fluffy, missing that Kuro cutscene skip, opts not to try for it again, which I think is probably a smart decision. If you try it again, you're only saving about 3 seconds over just watching the cutscene, even if you get it second try, and if you miss it second try, you're losing time immediately.
Yeah, that can be one of those ones that is tricky, especially since we mentioned these players aren't really watching the stream. So depending on whether he thinks he's in the lead or not, that can be one that if you think you might be behind, you might want to just opt to retry it to not lose any more time. But he just wanted to play it safe, and I think that's very respectable. So.
Meanwhile, Meldon has successfully made his Swamp Entry 6th try, and he's made his way up to the Stomp Tree. Took a little bit of a damage boost on the spikes to climb up here without waiting for his 6-shoot shark, and he's picked up Stomp.
Yep, and so it looks like they're about 1 skill behind, so while Fluffy's getting charged playing Meldon just getting out of Stomp here, and if he's able to hit his Kuro cutscene skip, then that will be a little bit of time save in that front.
Yep, I don't know an exact number, but I know from experience running the split that this is give or take 2 minutes. Yeah, exactly. And Fluffy getting his abilities there. So there you see on Meldon's side, actually switching your attention over. He got that extra experience. That's to get that level up, like Rory was saying, so that he's able to get charge dash a little earlier. So that'll be fun to see that movement. But slightly missing the bash off the frog there. It's like he's gonna just back up and try it again. Frog has enough health for that.
Yeah, just barely. And it was kind of one of those things where luckily the frog didn't fall into any spikes or anywhere that would be hard to get him back in there. So he just fell back a little bit, able to bash him back up and get that ability set like normal.
Yep, and now, so the area that Fluffy's in right now, when Meldon gets there, he's going to have the charge dash skill. So we'll see a bit of different movement options from Meldon. Meldon also nailing that Kuro cutscene skip.
Yeah, excellent job from him there. And he does opt to get this health cell up here by the spiders. This will be so that he can have 5 health going into Sorrow and Misty, as opposed to just getting it towards the end of the game, because they will both be going for 6 health going into Final Escape.
Right, and because of the Final Escape requiring a minimum of 5 health, it's not very much time loss to take a health cell now as opposed to later, say. So I think I like the safety decision.
Yeah, I think it's great. It just like really gives you a ton more confidence going into Sorrow's Pass, knowing that you have that 5th health. And then Fluffy doing a great job on fast stomp there. So he is going to be able to get Feather, got the ability cell, and he's working on his way to get into Sorrow's Pass.
And we're still holding at about that 1 skill tree of difference. Fluffy missed a bash on that frog, and just sort of face planted right into him. Only has 2 health here. He's only got 2 health here, it looks like.
Yeah, and he's still he could go up and use the teleporter, but he's confident to do this Sorrow Bash, so he's just gonna go up and do it anyways. Make a save up here. That'll give him or not doing a save, just getting the energy and going into Sorrow's Bash. So keep your eyes here to see if he's able to do it. Any a hit by a bird or anything will kill him. So looks like the setup is good, the angle's good, and very cleanly done.
First try Sorrow Bash from Fluffy, very nice. Meanwhile, Meldon has just leveled up Charge Dash as well. So you see him making use of that to manipulate these birds and get to the Stomp Peg a little bit faster.
Yeah, so because he opted to do that, he lost a little bit of time collecting the experience early, but now he'll be able to do this section a little bit faster with that ability. And still KBM on his side, so you can see some double bash and other things coming out. So probably feeling a lot more comfortable doing that method.
I mean, he took a little bit of a hit on the spikes on the way up to this area, so opting not to go for the crazy fish bash.
Yep, and Fluffy, all the rest of his movement in Sorrow was very well, nicely done, and so he's getting charge jumped at about the time that Meldon's attempting doing this bash shot.
Yep, so we'll see how this fast stomp goes for Meldon. It looked good. See if he can get over to the side.
Yeah, the movement might have been a little slow. I'm hoping this isn't a...
And he gets it.
But he gets it, yeah.
Close, but he does manage to get that trick, so he just has to wait for this cutscene. Meanwhile, we can pay attention to Fluffy's Terror Break here. Nicely done from him. And he'll just be floating up and, taking a death on that laser. It's hard to see those lasers behind the ability menu.
Yeah, it really is, especially since it's the same color as the background kind of looks when you do that. So
Yep, but this time he knows that his cycles are weird, and he just sort of pauses and waits, and he'll be floating straight up the top of Sorrow Pass to grab his Sunstone.
yep. And at the same time, Meldon kind of took a look there at his health and said, and energy, and said, you know, I'm going to take the safer at the teleporter to get everything before I go in to do my Sorrow Bash. And then now he's going up for his attempt.
Meldon, of course, will be at full health here, as opposed to Fluffy's 2.
Yep, so a little more buffer there. And he's going for the double bash method, as you see. Gets the bird into position, shoots him over, and going to do one more double bash. Oh, but double bashes into the bird.
That bird moved a little bit faster than usual. See, look at that. It's going faster than I think it normally does, and so I can understand if that threw him a little bit on that first attempt.
Yeah, that bird had places to be.
and it did not want Ori to be there.
Ori was not invited. But he, as kind of he's going up now, kind of same thing, a little bit of a high five as Fluffy goes down and now is going through, starting his way through Misty.
And Meldon will be dropping that safety save before these spikes. May opt not to do the Ghost Door here. He is. His save came off of cooldown. Nice. And he's going to set up for his Terror Break after he picks up Charge Jump. So meanwhile, on the left, we get to see Fluffy just showing off here. His only goal now is to go fast. There's nothing crazy to worry about. He has more than enough health to survive a hit on the spikes. He's just going.
Yeah, and it looks like he's been able to manage his energy quite well up to this point. So kind of not having to worry about running out of energy or anything either. He's okay on health, so it's just how fast can he make it through this area using his money, charge dashes, and stomp cancels and such that he can afford.
Yeah, so Meldon took a hit on the spikes on the way to this Terror Break, and I actually thought that he was dead at first, but then I remembered that he took 5 health, so that hit might have been intentional.
Yeah, and one of those things, if you place the save before doing the Ghost Door, you still are up to 5 health when you die. So having 5 health is way on his way out.
So our truck's telling us that the delta between the two runners was about 2 minutes as of Charge Jump. So Fluffy has now picked up Climb, Meldon's picking up a Sunstone. So there's not a lot of race left for Meldon to get time back.
Fluffy deciding he's not a fan of that Frankie, getting out of the way just so he can place another safety save. And I kind of do want to go mention, I know we've mentioned it already, but just kind of decisions some of these racers are making at this time to play things safe, put up safety saves where you maybe are not comfortable with the move and a lot. And I think the reason I kind of want to bring this up is I think it's one of those things, some of the newer players that are maybe watching, a lot of times if you watch a lot of the top players, and especially if you watch like their PB or world record attempts, you see them kind of go through these areas without putting down any safety saves and just kind of realizing that there are tons of areas that you can fit into your the way you play the game to just put down a couple extra safety saves in areas that you're not feeling as comfortable.
Meldon just got the weave on the way out of Sorrow. That always looks so cool when people pull it off.
Yeah, I think Meldon's playing great right now. Really, I think since he was controlled the first half, had a pretty solid first half, and now switching over to KBM and being able to kind of have all these movement options available to see kind of where he really does shine in his gameplay.
Yep, that was a little bit of a spooky charge dash there. He was actually below the ledge where the spikes are, but fortunately he was able to target the slime and didn't bonk on spikes.
Yep, and Fluffy able to take out the Misty boss here, no problem, and he is making his way out towards Light Grenade.
Right, so only one more skill tree to pick up for Fluffy, and then he'll be heading to Horu. So again, not a lot of time for Meldon to make back up.
Yeah, that's true. I think Light Grenade is one of those areas where you can have a few deaths or something that can set you off, but at this point, he's got a pretty solid lead going in to get Light Grenade. We'll have to. I think it'll be fun to see if he throws in the extra grenade jumps into his tactics.
We'll definitely have to see. I'm not sure. So Meldon, meanwhile, picking up Climb. He'll be making his way out of Misty. So we'll have to keep an eye on that movement and how clean that may or may not be.
Yeah, and I think with the way he's been playing right now, I honestly think he's been playing great. So,
Oh,
and as I say that,
as you say that, you cursed him. He's taking a hit on those spikes. Spikes, of course, do 3 damage, but despite having 5 health, he had already taken 2.
yeah, unfortunate there. Fluffy, on the other hand, is making his way, got to Light Grenade Tree at about the 31-minute mark here, so a little bit earlier, so good time by him.
Yep. So we have an update from our stats guys that at climb, Meldon was 15 seconds behind PB. Might be a little bit more now because he did take a death on the spikes on the way to that 3rd keystone. We'll have to keep an eye on that number as we get closer to the end of the run.
Yeah, and I think that still too early to count him out of PB opportunity here, especially with when his last PB was, I believe it was around a year ago. So I think there's some new tactic that he probably didn't employ in his PB that maybe will save him some time here towards the end of the run.
Yeah, I don't know offhand, but I think he has mentioned before that his PB does not have grenade jump in it.
Yes, that's a nice little thing. He could even be a little bit behind going into Horu and still be able to PB. So definitely keep your eye on that. Same time, Fluffy, great movement going out of Light Grenade, and he's on his way to Horu.
So Meldon, unfortunately, it does have a version of the game where there is a mini-boss at the end of Misty, and he has to spend a little bit of time killing it. Some runners, you just see they don't actually have a mini-boss there, they just get 250 experience for some reason.
Yeah, I believe it's the patch version differences, so Meldon needs to update his game a little bit. No, joking aside.
No. Yeah. So Fluffy, on his way to Horu, picked up an extra health cell, so he will have 6. And so far looks good. A little bit of a bonk on that pillar there, and almost but doesn't quite take a hit to the baneling.
Yeah, very close there, but able to make it. Now entering Horu as Meldon is coming here towards the save anywhere to get Light Grenade.
Yep, just a quick lever glitch, and I wouldn't expect a long save anywhere.
Fluffy, yeah, but first try Fluffy
nails door warp.
Gets door warp there, so
very nicely done. Of course, a frame perfect trick. A little bit of trouble getting up on that ledge though.
Yeah, and he's not messing around at all. Like we said, he doesn't know, he's not watching the stream, he doesn't know if he's ahead or not. So this can be one of those tense moments when you're looking over and you're noticing that they still haven't typed .done, and you're thinking, I don't know if they're here at the escape with me or not. But,
yeah, I think that is...
must feel great to get that first try door warp.
That is one of the most sort of nerve-wracking moments of the race. In my experience, is when you get into Horu and you just like look at SRL chat like, are they done? Are they not done?
Yeah, exactly. And so he'll kind of make his way through here, throwing in a nice little charge dash to get through a little faster. Stomps into the water. The entry looks good in the water. So remember, he does have 6 health, so he's able to take 5 ticks of damage there. No problem. Accidentally triggering Kuro here, but
nice charge dash to get into the safe zone on the other.
Yeah, that was done. Oh
no!
But
oh no!
He accidentally spawned him again. So that's gonna send him back to the beginning of the escape.
It wasn't so much that he didn't accidentally spawn, or that he spawned Kuro, because it's not like you can't not spawn Kuro there, but that a rock didn't fall, so he couldn't dash up.
Right, so he took a death there, and that probably is just adding to the nerves he's feeling at this point. Still not seeing whether Meldon is finishing or not. And once again, he's back in the water. At the same time, Meldon about to head his way towards Mount Kuro. This time, he doesn't spawn Kuro, so got to feel a lot more comfortable there. He's got the energy, he's got the health he needs, so just has to get the grenade jump.
Just gonna line that up. Takes a little stomp on the... What? Okay, he's gonna opt to just finish normally. He actually might have been out of energy.
Yeah, it kind of looked like something was maybe like that might have been happening there, but he ends up to just take the walk there. And I guess going back to Meldon, an update from the truck that he was only 8 seconds behind his PB at grenade. He didn't have swamp entry or grenade jump in his PB, so this is easily on PB base for Meldon if he can get his grenade jump. So let's see here going into door warp.
So hopefully, and I don't know how his door warp attempts went in his PB either, but hopefully we see a first try here because losing time to door warp is always just stupid.
Yeah, definitely one of the more frustrating time losses in the game. So here he goes. Let's see if he can get it first try.
And he does. Nice. So Meldon, if he nails this grenade jump at the end of the escape and doesn't have any stupid deaths, in other words, if he doesn't take damage unintentionally, then he can absolutely PB here, and that would be incredible to see.
Yeah, so as we're getting the final time here on Fluffy's side, looks like it's going to be something just past 36 minutes. Meldon going through here, wanting to make his way through the escape. Needs to go fast, but at the same time needs to be careful not to take any extra damage.
Yep, of course, taking extra damage results in instant death because you are no longer able to survive the poison water swim. So far, he looks good. He's going to take it carefully, just feather down, take 2 bashes off this elemental. He does not want to mess this up now.
And 36.05 from Fluffy, so a good time from him there, and then we'll see what Meldon is able to do here. Going through the water, making sure not to take any extra damage. Beautiful swing there. I think he might have only taken 4 damage there, so would have been able to do that with 5 health. Did not trigger Kuro, so now it's just up to grenade jump.
Yep, if he gets this, this will likely be a PB.
This is the first time going for it again.
Come on, Meldon. Come on.
And I'm sure he's looking at this, just thinking, like, it's okay if he misses it a couple times. As long as he gets it, he should be able to save enough time to get that PB.
We're running out of that time save now.
Yeah, and you can even see there, like, he kind of wanted to check. He's like, do I even have the energy? So something must not be feeling right for him from his end on this grenade jump. And there it is. I
don't know if that will save enough time.
Yeah, this will be really hard to say.
I believe it is about 42
seconds
jump from when you hit the grenade jump. So
I forget what his PB was exactly.
Just one way to find out. We'll just look at that timer and see what it says when he.
PB was a 37.51. I'm pretty sure. So barely going to miss it. And so that's got to be kind of hard, but still to be within that much time of your PB in a tournament race is still always a good feeling.
Now, that is rough to miss that though. Coming in with still a very respectable time. 38.01 for Meldon. Within about 10 seconds of that PB.
Yep, and it looks like they kept that 2-minute difference throughout the majority of the race there. So good job by both players. Within 10 seconds of your PB, definitely something to be happy and proud of.
Absolutely. It's like we talk about PBs in a race because it's always just really fun to see that happen, but it's so unlikely. It's so hard to pull off. And just coming this close is an achievement in itself.
And I think it also kind of, from the player's perspective, if you're able to see this and say, hey, you know, it isn't likely, like you said, to get a PB in a race, but then I'm within 10 seconds. That means, like, if I just go on, do a little bit of grinding and do some PB attempts, it'll definitely be something that I'll be able to get a PB soon. So definitely look forward to him improving his time soon.
Yep, and especially once Meldon gets more sort of healed, once his finger is better and he is able to, like, do all of these strats to best. Because I know, like, his PB is a year old. He's improved a lot since then.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that just goes further to show that, like, with playing on his not preferred input method, to be able to get within 10 seconds. I mean, or at least for half of it, he played on controller. And so great job from him. And at the same time, GG to Fluffy, putting in a good time and good race himself. So.
Yep, and so now I want to take a look at the group standings here. We have one more match left in this group. After Fluffy takes that win, he will move up to 1 and 2. The last match, of course, is going to be Acrid Stingray versus Meldon. And if Meldon wins that, then we would potentially have a 3-way tie for second, which would have to be broken by those best race times.
Yeah, the best race time. So that's definitely something we're all going to want to look at. And I believe this 38:01 would be Meldon. Yeah, it is, because his last race or his best race time coming into this was like a 42. So improving it by a lot there. And with the PB difference between him and Acid, I think it's going to be a great race. So that'll be a good one to watch out. They're about 30 seconds apart with the PBs, and showing where Meldon's at now. You can see that he's close and playing within that PB range. So definitely an exciting one to watch.
And especially because this next best, Fluffy having finished, a 35.54 is locked in for him. If Acrid or Meldon is able to beat that, then we could see some group standings shake up here before bracket.
Yeah, so definitely an exciting one to look out for. I believe that one is, let's see, just later today at 5 p.m. So in a couple hours there, and that's an exciting one to watch for sure. So stay tuned for that one.
Yes, it will be. And meanwhile, up next, we're going to have Monkley versus Rainbow Poogle. Monkley has not done a race yet, I believe. So he's one of the more experienced, faster runners. So definitely stick around for that race next at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, so that's coming up here just in a second, and that'll be a fun one to see. Especially, I think it's always fun when there's these players that you haven't seen a race yet the whole tournament, so it's kind of, we don't know what kind of condition they're in or how their runs are going. So definitely a lot to look forward to there. Should be an exciting one.
I definitely agree. So we will be taking a quick break while we get that race set up, and make sure to stick around in a few minutes for Monkley and Rainbow Poogle. That'll be brought to you by Cleanfell and Cover Muffin on commentary.
Yep. So that is all from us here. Thanks, Rory, for being on doing this commentary with me.
It's been fun.